Hey, brothers and sisters. Today is July 18th, 2025. Just felt led to share a couple things that the Lord has shown me for a while. Shared all of this stuff before. I've had dreams for years of giant waves on beaches and tons of dreams about being on a ship. And the Holy Spirit's just really connecting things. One of the dreams that I had about being on a ship, there was this huge wooden ship, and me and my little boy got on this ship. There was no water, nothing. It's just like it was sitting on dry land. And all of a sudden, I grabbed my little boy's hand, and we went on this big wooden ship. We went on the inside of it. And there was this little window. I was looking out this little window, and I saw an alligator with all these people right next to it. They were oblivious that the alligator was even next to them. And I wanted to warn them, but I knew that I could no longer warn them. I wanted to warn them about this alligator they were standing right next to, that they couldn't see it. And all of a sudden, the boat that me and my son were in started rocking. Like all of a sudden, all this water started coming where there was no water before. And I could feel like the ship we were in start kind of rocking back and forth. And it was like really fast. All this water came in. So much so that in the dream I put like a towel underneath one of the doors on the ship that went, to the outside. I put like a towel underneath it because water was rushing in to stop up the water from coming into the ship. And I always wondered, like, and this was like a year ago, I think I had this dream. I've shared it before. I always wondered, why did I see this alligator? And why were there people standing right next to it, but they didn't see it? That's why. This other dream that I had 3 years ago, I'm just going to play a clip of this, and then I'm going to share another clip of a video. Here we go. Hey, brothers and sisters. Today is October 27th, 2021. And I had a couple dreams last night I just wanted to share with you guys. So, in the first dream, I was on a ship on the ocean somewhere. And in the ship were a bunch of other people with me. And I knew that some of the people on the ship didn't like me, but it didn't bother me. And everyone started panicking all of a sudden, but I wasn't panicking. I was calm. And there was this giant wave coming towards us and the ship we were on. And then all of a sudden, this giant wave became frozen. It like turned to ice. And the ship just went right up over the wave. And that was the first dream. And in the second dream, I just want to mention that in that dream, I didn't have any fear whatsoever. And it was like I was separated from everybody else on this ship. And no one wanted to get close to me. Like, people didn't like me, but I didn't really care. And I was the only one on the ship that wasn't afraid. And I know now why I wasn't afraid is because I know what's about to happen. I was inside of a house, but it was also like a store. And I was gathering fruits and vegetables that were all organic and homegrown. And then I heard, "Blessed is he that comest in and goest out." And that was the second dream. So I found in Deuteronomy 28, I'm just going to read it to you guys. "Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee." And this reminds me, this scripture that he told me in a dream reminds me, before I even had like a ministry on YouTube many years ago, upon awakening, the Lord said to me, Jeremiah 15:20. And I went and looked it up, and it took me a minute to understand what he was telling me, that he was going to give me the gift of prophecy. Jeremiah 15:20 says, "And I will make thee unto this people a fenced brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee. For I am with thee to save thee and deliver thee, saith the Lord." So that dream I just shared, one of the dreams I just shared, well, I was on this boat with all these people, and they were all panicking and freaking out, but I wasn't freaking out, and I knew a lot of them didn't like me, and I didn't care. I was the only calm one on the ship, and suddenly this giant wave was coming right at the ship, and then it suddenly turned to ice. And then, right when it turned to ice, the host ship with all of us on it lifted up over the wave of ice and went up into the air, which I believe is the Rapture. So I'm going to play. I also want to mention this. A couple months ago, upon awakening, the Lord told me John Tracek, and he's a brother in Christ. It was like the Lord was saying, pay attention to what he's talking about, because he's spot on. There's something I did not share publicly several months ago, because I wasn't sure what it meant. I didn't know what it meant. And then the Lord told me John Tracek, and I started looking into things he was posting. And he talks a lot about Planet X, Nibiru. And one of the things the Lord told me was, the rapture will happen when the twin planets align. I'm sorry, the 7 twin planets align. I didn't know what he was talking about. But apparently, Planet X, Nibiru, has 7 planets that are like twins to the Earth planets. And I think that a lot of this stuff that's happening on the Earth, all the crazy weather, the solar flares, all these things are connected to that. And the weather warfare, all that is blended in with it, but I really think that's what the Lord is saying. That's what's really happening. So I'm going to share, this is from John Tracek's channel. And he's sharing a clip of Mike from around the world. So just remember the dream that I had where I was on the ship. This giant wave was coming and it turned to ice. Remember that, okay? Here we go.
It's Mike from around the world.
God bless you, Pastor Paul.
Oh, Mike, how you doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. It's great to hear your voice. Wow. Lot going on, Mike. Lots going on since you were with us last Thursday.
A lot. And unfortunately, a lot of rain.
Mike.
Just beginning.
Huh?
It's just beginning.
What do you mean by that?
It's only the beginning.
So, Mike, let me ask you. You said there was going to be these water events. You mentioned Texas. You mentioned Arizona, New Mexico, and some of these places. And wow, since you were here last Thursday night, we've been hit. Of course, we saw what happened to Texas. 120 are dead. 160 some are missing. We had the water, the flash floods in New Mexico. 3 are dead. We've had Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, West Virginia, North Carolina, all of it happening right now, all these water events. Is there a pattern here? Are we in some kind of weather pattern or something else happening?
Well, we have a few things happening. It's just beginning. It'll continue to increase, sadly. This is what we face. And if you notice with the storms that began in Mexico, going up into the East Coast, you'll notice greater rainfall rates. I mean, in certain states, not Texas, but other states, in about 5 minutes, you're looking at, 4 or 5 inches of rain on the ground. Just that fast. So even before Texas, a week and a half before Texas, I think I was talking about it. Actually, I wrote some letters because we need some modifications to some of the cellular systems to really take over a person's phone to ensure they have that alert. Most people get alerts. They just skip through them, right? And that's going to cost lives. So they're going to have to take advantage of multiple systems to make sure that people can be duly warned. But about a week and a half ago, and a week and a half before that, rainfall was outrageous. 10 inches. It rained 10 inches in about, I believe it was probably about 15 minutes in certain parts of the U.S. And so this trend is just beginning. It's only beginning.
Now, Mike, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories. I know there's been conversation about, there is a company in Texas called Rainmaker, and they admitted they did some seeding in the clouds on July 2nd. It even rained some blue rain. But I don't think, you tell me, did they put too much in the clouds, or this has nothing to do with that?
Well, cloud seeding is when you put, you put silver iodide. In this case, they have salt flares. They call them salt flares. They'll drop salt flares in the air. And the salt, once the salt is in the atmosphere, you have a CCN effect, or condensation nuclei cloud condensation nuclei begins to form and increase. So they actually increase cloud coverage, right?
Yes.
Dropping hygroscopic salts into the atmosphere is what they're doing. It absorbs moisture from surrounding air. So they get a process going, or they can increase a process, but only about 9%.
Okay.
You can drop a lot of that stuff, and it's only going to increase rainfall about 9%. Right?
So,
That's it.
so if they did this and it was July 2nd and it did rain a little bit on July 2nd, that wouldn't have been what caused
That
this.
would not account for that warning.
Yeah.
I've seen most companies do this. They come up with some pretty clever types of hygroscopic salt combinations, calcium nitrates and magnesium chlorides, stuff like Deskin and that food and pharmaceutical preservations and building materials, stuff that power plants use. They use all that to absorb moisture, and it only increases rain about 9%. That's it.
Okay.
About 9%. So, but we have a few processes happening on the globe, and that's where this rain is coming from. And it can be understood. It's quite easy to understand, right? This year, the ocean temperatures have smashed the records of 2024. 2024 has seen the hottest water temperatures on record. The water is heating up from the bottom up, and it's causing, we had this conversation before about the salt in the water.
Yeah.
Right? The salt, all this stuff is being pushed to the surface. So you're looking at heating from the ground up is going to cause turbulence in certain current flows, and they're going to start to alter, right? But the heating of the oceans is the key point. The heating of the oceans right now is the key point. Yes, it's melting the ice. 100 billion tons of ice was accumulated in the Arctic, but they also lost twice as much ice on the eastern side of the Arctic, right? So you had the western side building up an ice, and the eastern side is losing ice, and there are 3 heat plumes below the Arctic. So that ice melting from the bottom up is going to cause some bigger problems. But think of it this way: cloud seeding. The ocean, right, as the waves come up on the shores, and the waves are going all over the place, and that magma, this volcanism, and the ocean floor is heating up, pushing all these salts up, and you have this mega melting of some of the Arctic ice. You're going to have a higher salt content in the oceans. That higher salt content will contribute to cloud condensation nuclei, right? That provides a water vapor will condense on that salt, forming clouds, right? Now, for every, let's see, I believe it's like 1.12 degrees of atmospheric heating, you're going to have the atmosphere is going to be able to hold 4% more water. Okay, we've had a lot of atmospheric heating. So imagine we had a stable atmosphere at about 70 degrees, right? But then this year it's like 80. It's a big increase in water. And when you're talking about tonnage, oh man, that's flooding all over the place, right? That's like because sometimes you have those 10-degree variants, right? So that's a lot. That's a lot. 10 degrees at 4% per degree. That's quite a bit. And that increases from there. But that volume of water is falling right back to the ground. So the clouds can hold more moisture the warmer it gets.
I see.
Okay? And with all that rain, when that happens, it blocks all that hot air into the atmospheres, and the volcanoes just continue to heat things up. So we're being heated up from the inside and the outside, right? More the inside than the outside. It's causing a snowball effect, and then you have a earth tilt issue.
Earth tilt issue.
I've shared this before months and months ago. The Lord told me all kinds of things that are going wrong with the sun. And then I heard, it's like I saw this magnet, this circular magnet. And then my friend Paul found this article about a circular magnetic like pull from the earth, and that's what he's talking about right now, that it's happening right now. And I didn't know any of this stuff. Okay, I'm like a little child with the things of this world, and it's literally happening right now.
Also have, the ice melt is going to be the big thing. But the floods, all these floods are about to precede another event, which I call the water event.
Now, BP Earthwatch is also saying that the Earth's tilt is a major issue, which I'm wondering if the Earth's tilt, does that affect the cracks in the ocean for volcanism? I mean, because you're shifting. I mean, anything, something.
It will affect. Well, when you have a gravitational pull, anything that tilts is going to cause a strain on the crust. So yes, it will affect quite a few things on the interior of the Earth. Right, it's going to shift things around a bit, and even that will increase. And then it becomes like this snowball effect. The more shifting we have in the plate tectonics, the more we're going to tilt just by sheer inertia. Yeah. And they have these external gravitational pulls, these anomalies that are happening out, way out there in space. And so we have all this happening at one time. But this rain is about to increase twice as much as it is now.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
They need a warning system. Basketball is going to cause major damage. I'll tell you this, the water event is this. People are going to wake up one morning. It's going to be dark. They're going to look out their front yard and see nothing but the sky. That's a water event. So think of just about every single place on the face of this earth covered by at least 4 to 5 to 7 inches of water. Right?
That's just a lot of people. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, that's just. Okay. But let me ask you this. You've been saying that Antarctica, that the ice is melting from the bottom up. We finally got a report this week that is saying that the Southern Ocean circulation has reversed. There's a guy by the name of Paul Beckwith that I listened to, and he was talking about how...
Yeah, they do have reverse... Yeah.
And there's another man, Shadowburn. His name is John Shadowburn. He has a great YouTube channel. Who I met him about 3 years ago in Dallas, Texas, and had lunch with him. And he's a brilliant scientist, and he was telling me how this was going to happen. But you have brought it up several times now that the Antarctica, that the ice underneath is what's melting because of and now we're getting confirmation from the International Environmental Forum, from other major forums that so it's not that we're having global warming from the top down, from the CO2 and from the but it's from the bottom up. This is a game changer.
That's right. Because that's why we see the increased volcanism. Right. Okay. And remember, one volcano can do what every human in the world can go drive their cars. A volcano can put out just as much carbon in about 10 minutes that all of humanity can put out for about 10 years. I mean, It's just that extreme. And we're about to have some big boys really go off. So here's the issue with the ice, though, as it continues to melt from the bottom up. The ice that anchors these big chunks of ice to the earth, they're thinning. It's like standing a block of ice on a toothpick, right? When that toothpick melts, that ice is going to drop.
Yes.
It's going to fall. It may fall 5, 10 feet. It may fall 20 or 30 feet. But
okay, the ice. Okay. Now I'm going to reshare this. Hey, brothers and sisters. Today is October 27th, 2021. And I had a couple dreams last night I just wanted to share with you guys. So, in the first dream, I was on a ship on the ocean somewhere. And in the ship were a bunch of other people with me. And I knew that some of the people on the ship didn't like me, but it didn't bother me. And everyone started panicking all of a sudden, but I wasn't panicking. I was calm. And there was this giant wave coming towards us and the ship we were on. And then all of a sudden, this giant wave became frozen. It turned to ice. And the ship just went right up over the wave. And that was the first dream. Which I believe that part represents the rapture. Everything that Mike from around the world was just talking about with the ice shelf melting. I believe that's what the Lord was showing me years ago in that dream. And I shared this the other day. Vision I had upon awakening a couple days ago. Saw a map of the United States. And this area that I circled in red, everything I saw on the inside of that circle of red was inundated with water. And since then, this storm system that kind of came from the Gulf and went up into Louisiana and everything. There's rain, but Kansas City just had a flood. Okay, in that circle. Right there. And I've been kind of trying to track what's going on with future, tropical depressions and storms and stuff. And supposedly there's like 3 more coming that are going to take that same route as this, what I've circled in red. I also shared, I think it was my last video, how I told a friend of mine, Sister Janice, about the vision. And then she said she basically remembered a dream that she had had years ago from the Lord. And what she saw was like a blue question mark with symbols of hurricane winds and tornadoes. And she said it was over the same area that I sent her. So she did that with the blue there. And many people have commented, you have circled the Madrid fault line. Which I didn't know. Okay. Years ago, the Lord told me upon awakening, continental divide. I've had a dream of a widespread panic. Yellowstone Park was mentioned. And Altamont Pass was in it, which is in California. And in that dream, I was reunited with the dead in Christ, which represents the rapture. So, usually when the Lord shows me things, there's layers to it. So this could just also represent, it's not just about flooding and water, things being inundated with water, which is what I saw in the vision of this area in red. And Sister Janice in the blue saw the same thing. But when people pointed out you've circled the Madrid fault line, you know, I mean, that could be a layer to it. And more than likely, that's the case. I just keep thinking about all these dreams I've had about being on a ship in water, especially the last 2 days of the one. It was like this big wooden ship, and I grabbed my son's hand and we went inside the ship. There was no water at all when we went inside. There's this little window, and I was looking out this window at these people. Like it had started raining, and I saw these people like standing right next to an alligator. Which I believe the Antichrist, Trump, it's about alligator Alcatraz. I do, because it's like a concentration camp. And I wanted to warn the people through the window, but the window was closed. And I knew in the dream that I could no longer warn the people, even though I really wanted to. I knew that the time of the warnings were over. And then all this water was like coming in like under this little door that was inside the boat. And I put a towel in front of it to stop up the water from getting in. And the other dream that I had, being on a huge wooden ship on the ocean, I knew a lot of people didn't like me and I didn't really care. All of a sudden, this huge wave formed and these people just started freaking out, like totally panicking, like a widespread panic. But I wasn't panicking. And it's because the Lord has shown me what's going to happen. So I was calm. I was like sitting on the floor of the top of the ship, just chilling. Everyone was freaking out, but I wasn't freaking out. And all of a sudden, this huge wave that was coming right directly at our ship, like it was like a mega tsunami wave. And suddenly it turned to ice. And then the people really started freaking out. But then all of a sudden, the whole ship, with all of us on it, lifted up above this giant wave of ice and went into the air, which I believe is the Harpazo. Which John Tracek, person whose name the Lord told me upon awakening a few months ago, just shared a few days ago from Mike from around the world talking about the ice shelf melting. All these things the Lord's told me about the sun, something really wrong with the sun. Shared a few months ago, like this dream I had of seeing a woman sitting outside. I knew it was summertime. She was sitting on like a high top table, a small like high top table, and she was filling out wedding invitations, which I believe is inviting people to the wedding supper of the Lamb, preaching the gospel. She was full of joy, smiling, and suddenly all this snow in the middle of the summer started falling on her and all around her. She wasn't fazed by it. She just kept writing out these wedding invitations. And like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 days later, all these people started commenting on my channel on videos and stuff saying, oh, it just snowed in Colorado in the middle of summer. It just happened, you know? And it's like, yeah, the Lord shows us things before they happen, so that when they come to pass, we will know that it was Him that told us. Because He wants us to trust Him and not be in fear. He wants to guide us to all truth. Very few let Him, though. This is all going to happen, you guys. He has shown me all these things for years, and it's all happening. And it's not me at all. I'm not even smart enough to imagine things like this. But the Lord knows, and He knows that I'll share it, because He doesn't want His children to be in fear. He wants us to know that He's coming, and to trust Him, and to seek Him. Told me in a dream months and months and months ago, which I didn't share publicly because I didn't know what it meant. Then he told me John Tracek, upon awakening, months after that. I go to his channel and I start looking up stuff, and he's posting about Planet X and all these things, which I've heard about before, but I didn't really know much about it. And the Lord had told me months before that, when the 7 twin planets align, the rapture will happen. Planet X has 7 twin planets to Earth. That's why all these things are happening on the Earth. It's not just weather manipulation. That's a part of it, but that's what's actually happening. That's why the sun's freaking out. That's why all these things are happening. People don't have to believe me, that's okay. But I know the Lord's voice, and I won't listen to another. So I just wanted to share all this with you guys. Just don't freak out, don't panic. Because He's going to come just in time. The one who has called you is faithful to do what He has promised to do. And He's the only one that we should trust. Believe on Him today, because He's about to come and take His children home. All you have to do is believe in the one whom God sent. Jesus died in your place for the remission, all of your sin. He was buried and rose again on the 3rd day, so you can be justified before God. Don't try to go about establishing your own righteousness. Put on His righteousness by just believing in what He did for you. That's the glory of God's love. Believe it. That's all you have to do. Love you guys. Hold fast.